Good afternoon. My name is Richard Volstek. I'm president of the American Chamber of Commerce here in Hong Kong. On behalf of the leadership of our board and committee chairs, of whom many are present today, on behalf of them, it's my great pleasure to welcome you all to today's very special luncheon. We have the honor of, once again, being the venue for a new U.S. Consul General's first speech, public speech, in Hong Kong after arrival. A little later in this luncheon, Consul General Tong will be introduced by Peter Levesque, who's on his way. So, not to fear. But before we start, a couple of housekeeping things. I do want to ask you if you have any kind of communication device that makes noise or beeps or has that terrible whistle when you get an email, please silence it. So, and for our speakers' consideration. And we have a number of people in the room who are first or second time to AmCham events, and probably one of the first times to one of our luncheon events in the hotel, and a great Conrad again. We're color-coded in the chamber, and you'll see as you look around the room a number of red tags. Those are members of our board or past members of our board. Yellow tags are committee chairs, of which we have 65 chairs and vice chairs altogether for our 24 committees. And then those people with name tags are blue, are members, and those with gray name tags, if you're sitting next to one of them, do not let them leave without telling them why they should be joining the chamber. You will be tested afterwards, okay? So there's a lot to offer, but we always encourage in our public events a lot of non-members that come. Some are members, their companies are members that are not members yet, and the more they see what we do during the course of the year, I think the more attractive membership looks. I'm going to take a few minutes to introduce the head table because there are a number of people that, a lot of people in this room you should know, but if you have, there's a few that I think if you haven't met, and not during the speech, of course, but either after the lunch or sometime, please introduce yourself. I'm pleased to see that Peter Levesque has just arrived. And Peter, as you know, we're very fortunate to have him as our chairman for 2 years, 2014 and 2015. And because he does such a great job, we don't let him off the hook. He's also chair of our nominating committee for the board for next year, as well as chairman of our charitable foundation. So Peter will be introducing Consul General Tong a little later this noon. Next to him is a bittersweet kind of announcement. Doug Hank, who's chairman and CEO of Asia Transamerica Life, was chairman in an interesting time of the chamber in 1997. And is actually a retread. He left Hong Kong and then came back and has been very active again in the chamber, but now will be departing very soon to sunny New Hampshire. Doug also did extra service during his time, long-time service in Hong Kong. He was chairman of the Asia-Pacific Council of American Chambers at a time when some very important lobbying was going on in Washington from the region. And since his return this time has been very active in our briefing program for government officials, both Hong Kong and U.S. So, Doug, we're going to miss you. On behalf of everybody, thank you for your years and years of service to the American Chamber and to the Hong Kong community. Next to Doug is Anna Marie Slott, who's a partner at Ashurst and also on our Board of Governors. Next to her is Matthew Hosford, Chief Risk Officer, Asia Pacific Region for Bank Santander, who's also a member of our board. Jennifer Van Dale from Eversheds, member of our board. Seth Peterson, partner of our industrial practice at Heidrick & Struggle, is on our board. Thomas Hodges, many of you have met already, has been here several months now, is our Deputy Consul General, long-term Asia hand, and good to have you back. Thomas and I worked together when I was working in Taiwan. He still looks the same age, I don't. Very disappointing, but certainly we're very lucky to have this team with us again. The transition team for the consulate was quite considerable this summer, but I can assure you I've met with all of them, and we are in superb hands going forward for the next 3 or X number of years that people will be here in Hong Kong. Thomas, thank you for coming. Next to him is Patrick Wu with Duff and Phelps, a member of our board. Good friend of the Chamber, Paul Say, who is Director of Golden Crown Development and Chairman of AmCham Macau. And actually, off and on chairman, actually the godfather of that organization. When I came 10 years ago, we met soon after I arrived, and he runs a superb Chamber of Macau, with we have a lot of associated activities with them throughout the year. Next to Paul is Owen Bellman, CEO of North Asia for Aon Risk Solutions, member of our board, and also treasurer of the Chamber board this year. Keeps me honest, which was, I hope not too difficult a task. Next to him is Diana David, who's our Regional Director for Corporate Development at the Financial Times. And that's it for now. Please introduce yourselves around the table, continue your conversation. We'll be back a little bit after 1 o'clock to have an introduction of our Consul General Tong and his first presentation in Hong Kong. Thank you for coming.
Good afternoon, everyone. Hope everybody's enjoyed their lunch. My name is Peter Levesque. I'm past chairman of the American Chamber here in Hong Kong. And on behalf of our current chairman, Walter Diaz, who couldn't be here today, the Board of Governors, and all the members of AmCham, welcome to today's inaugural remarks by United States Consul General Tong. As business leaders, we know that a strong relationship between the United States, Hong Kong, and Macau is good for the region and good for business. The role of the United States Consul General here in Hong Kong is critical to advancing this important relationship. Consul General Tong is a career diplomat with a long and distinguished history and record service for the United States. And on a personal note, I was very pleased to learn that he's from Massachusetts and a confirmed Red Sox fan. So please join me in welcoming our new United States Consul General, Tong.
Well, thank you, Peter, and good afternoon, everybody. For those who didn't get the reference to the best baseball team in the world, that was the Boston Red Sox, who have enjoyed 7 straight wins. I would, want to start by saying thank you to everyone for coming out. I realize everyone in the American Chamber is extraordinarily busy. You've got lots of important work to do, but I really treasure this opportunity to have a conversation with you all, starting really quite early in my tenure here in Hong Kong. Special thanks to Richard. I know it's a lot of work to put this together, to Agnes, everyone else on the AmCham staff. As Richard mentioned, this is my first public address in Hong Kong, and I'm really very, very happy that I can maintain the tradition of doing this with the American Chamber. I'd also like to point out some of the people from our consulate here. Thomas Hodges. Thomas, why don't you stand up, just so people see you. Has already been introduced, Deputy Consul General. Dante Paradiso is head of our economic and political section. Dara Paradiso, are you here? Over there is head of public affairs for our mission. I'm truly honored and blessed by having fantastic staff here in Hong Kong. And I'm honored and blessed to have been chosen to represent the United States, to both Hong Kong and Macau, each of which are wonderful and unique places. Today, with apologies to Paul, I'm going to focus primarily on the U.S. relationship with Hong Kong. Among other things about Hong Kong, one of the things I've realized is that I now have the chance to live in the world's most three-dimensional city. So, really, when people give an address here, they shouldn't be just doing the X and Y axes. There should also be, some indication of the altitude. And it's fortunate because with all the good food, you need all these mountains and stairs to have any chance of not turning into a sumo wrestler. But today's, anyways, is an opportunity to have some conversation, and I look forward to getting to know you all a lot better. As I mentioned, I've only been in this job for 1 month. That makes me a baby, as consuls general go. But I do, even at just 1 month, want to share my initial reflections on this job and this city, with a particular focus on Hong Kong, where this American Chamber has invested so much time and effort. This very special administrative region that is Hong Kong. You all may know the American saying, "Don't mess with success." I feel very fortunate to be able to walk in and take up the leadership of a high-quality mission, but also arrive here at a time when, by all accounts, the unique arrangement of Hong Kong and the United States-Hong Kong relationship that supports that framework are proving to be so very, very successful. So what I'd like to talk about today is why I believe that our relationship and Hong Kong itself have been so successful, and how we can all work together to build upon that success. So let me start by mentioning some of the ways in which the U.S.-Hong Kong partnership is beneficial for both of our societies as well as for the other parts of China. You don't have to look far to find many examples of the strength of our relationship. Hong Kong has a well-deserved and long-standing reputation as a leading center of global finance and commerce. In fact, I think that Hong Kong remains the most sophisticated financial center in Asia, where important economic players from the United States, China, and other nations congregate to organize, manage, and finance investments all around the world. One of the foundations of this strength is the close and friendly cooperation between the monetary authorities and the financial regulatory authorities in both Hong Kong and the United States. Hong Kong, on the trade side, is also famous for having the world's top cargo airport and one of the largest cargo shipping facilities in the world, as Peter well knows. Those capabilities are big reasons why the United States, located all the way across the Pacific Ocean, remains Hong Kong's second largest trading partner after mainland China. And looking at it in the other direction, Hong Kong is the United States' 10th largest export market and a key destination for U.S. products, which is really remarkable given the relatively small size of Hong Kong's population. Among other things, Hong Kong is a top market for fantastic, delicious U.S. beef that you should all eat a lot of, and wash it down with fantastic, delicious U.S. wine, where our sales here are growing very rapidly. Hong Kong is also China's primary link for investment flows to the rest of the world. It is a conduit for over 60% of all outbound investment from the mainland. And for that reason, Hong Kong is also very attractive to U.S. service providers who aim to facilitate investment into the United States, an aim that the United States government shares, and that we're delighted to help facilitate through our Select USA program. And Jim Cunningham, would you stand up now, please? Jim, who is our commercial counselor here at the consulate, and is your point of contact for next year when you want to go to Select USA. Our economic ties are also supported by extraordinarily strong law enforcement cooperation in a wide range of areas, including drug interdiction and customs security. This benefits both our economies and societies, but it also makes the rest of the world a safer place as well. But economics is a dismal science, so let's also consider the profound people-to-people ties that characterize the successful U.S.-Hong Kong relationship. These can be as simple as family ties. A couple of weeks ago, just a few days after arriving in Hong Kong, I went to a lovely wedding in St. John, the historic St. John's Cathedral, and it was the kind of event that makes for complicated immigration questions, with some mixture of elements of Hong Kong the United States and Canada all thrown in. But in the people-to-people relationship area, our educational ties are absolutely critical. And I'm happy to say that we believe that these educational ties are extraordinarily strong. Personally, I look forward to connecting with my own university's alumni network here, and I know that other university connections are very vibrant as well. That helps sustain the fact that Hong Kong continues to be the number 20 source overall for undergraduates going to study in the United States, which is also very remarkable given the population of Hong Kong, and shows the keen interest that Hong Kong young people have to study in the United States. We actually, at the consulate, aim to welcome even more Hong Kong students and tourists to the United States. And that is why we continue to streamline the visa appointment process to support the increasing demand that our consular section is continually experiencing. Another important aspect of this is exchange programs like the Fulbright program and other professional exchange programs that strengthen friendship between the United States and Hong Kong academics and professionals. Every year we send about a dozen Fulbright scholars in both directions. I actually met a number of these impressive people earlier this week, together with leaders from the various organizations in Hong Kong that help support this program. And I found it to be really a fantastic group of people. Last year's Fulbright cohort, in fact, was quite typical. One Hong Kong scholar who had just completed a year's research in the United States on prevention of domestic violence said that her research was transformed from a local concern to a global understanding. That's exactly the kind of impact that we're looking for. One of the American scholars who came to Hong Kong in 2015 said that it was the best year of his life for both him and his family. And he was full of praise for Hong Kong's educational institutions and the international community here. So during my tenure as Consul General, you will probably also get tired of hearing from me about our efforts to expand tourism to the United States. I think that this is a truly important from both an economic and a cultural angle. I believe that the United States is actually an undertapped tourism opportunity for people from Asia. We can do more to help people discover everything that our broad continent has to offer. So I've described a little bit about the relationship and the strength of the ties between the United States and Hong Kong, and described that, I believe rightfully, as a huge success. What I want to say more about is one particular element that underpins the many successes of the U.S.-Hong Kong relationship that I have just described. As I like to say, it's the S in the SAR, the Hong Kong Special Administrative Region. For Hong Kong is indeed very special, and our relationship with Hong Kong is special. What makes it that way? I could, of course, start with all the things that make Hong Kong a great place to live. Hong Kong is known worldwide for combining all the excitement and conveniences of a modern cosmopolitan city together with a rich Chinese cultural heritage. Along with that, of course, comes Cantonese, which is a challenging language, which I've started taking lessons, and you can give me a grade again next year when I come back. But I think that Hong Kong's unique geography also makes it special. It boasts a stunning urban skyline, but I've also discovered that it has beautiful countryside and beaches. And although not enormous, I was interested to learn that Hong Kong's land area is still actually 6 times the size of Washington, D.C. And of course, Hong Kong's status as a food destination is well known, as was demonstrated to us again today by the Conrad. Thank you very much. Great lunch. Hong Kong's famous for its iconic dim sum, lots of Michelin-starred restaurants, and I'm looking forward to trying it all, even as I lose weight. But seriously, there are other more important things that make Hong Kong special that might not be so obvious as its glittering skyline. But these are just as critical to Hong Kong's identity and success. Hong Kong is famously located at the crossroads of East and West, geographically, economically, and culturally. That has historically shaped Hong Kong's destiny and growth, and I expect it will continue to do so going forward. But another point, Hong Kong's impressive human resources rival any market in the world. Its smart, motivated young people comprise a deep pool of talented professionals, and they are a magnet for international business and investment. But perhaps the most important thing that makes Hong Kong special is its strong rule of law, transparency, and openness, which create the basis for business and trade to succeed here. Now, I know everyone says it, but it's still absolutely true. The independence of the Hong Kong judiciary and the objectivity and fair-mindedness of Hong Kong's economic and financial regulators are the foundation of this city's success. Let me give you another less mentioned example. Hong Kong is also on the right side when it comes to internet regulation, an emerging and increasingly important issue. The U.S. Chamber of Commerce based in Washington, for instance, recently warned that excluding foreign technology, foreign information and communication technology products and services from China, Hong Kong's host to the north, could decrease the potential size of the Chinese economy by as much as $3 trillion, with a T, dollars over the next decade. Hong Kong, in that context, helps point the rest of China in the right direction on this important issue. Indeed, more generally, the entire construct of one country, two systems has been highly successful in protecting Hong Kong's open society and institutions. It is the key framework that makes all this specialness possible and sustainable over time. One country, two systems is not only a very unique and special reality, it is also a construct that both China's central government and the people of Hong Kong, and for that matter, the people and government of the United States as well, that we all aim to maintain. This doesn't mean that anyone can be complacent. Hong Kong's high degree of autonomy under the one country, two systems construct is something that requires care and attention to maintain. And as you know, for our part, the United States' support of Hong Kong's high degree of autonomy is clearly spelled out in the 1992 Hong Kong Policy Act. I think there's actually a lot at stake here. Hong Kong is definitely part of China, but Hong Kong also exists as one of the world's leading cities, and many people outside China also have a stake in its success. It would be a great loss to the global commons, economically as well as culturally, if Hong Kong were to somehow to lose its specialness. That may be stating the obvious, and it probably is, but I still think it's important to point it out. Here's another obvious but important point. The people of the United States and the people of Hong Kong share an abiding respect for certain fundamental freedoms and certain core values. And I believe that these values are as much a part of Hong Kong's success as its well-deserved reputation for efficiency as a global hub for international finance and trade. We share values like freedom of expression, of the press and of assembly, academic freedom, and open space for critical debate. A couple of weeks ago, we saw Hong Kongers turn out in record numbers to exercise their freedom to participate in choosing the city's legislature. I think that high turnout, with voters lining up late into the evening, all the way until the following morning, showed how much people here are committed to the idea of democratic participation in politics. Now, as a foreign consul here, I look forward to working with all of Hong Kong's elected leaders in the Legislative Council to build stronger relations between the United States and Hong Kong, which will benefit both of our societies. My staff, in fact, and I'm looking at Dante, they're a bit stressed out that I have asked them to arrange meetings with all 70 LegCo members as soon as possible after they are sworn in. 70 is a lot. So it might take a little while, but our consulate team is ready to talk to anyone about Hong Kong relations, U.S.-Hong Kong relations. Really, anyone, regardless of their political views. So I've described a success story that is today's Hong Kong. And I hope I have reaffirmed for you that the U.S.-Hong Kong relationship is on a strong footing and has contributed to our mutual benefit. If you'll allow me, just briefly before I close, I think I should also mention a few challenges that we can face together, the United States and Hong Kong, going forward as we seek to build on that success that we have already achieved. First, the area of economic competitiveness. Hong Kong, like many leading international financial centers, is seeking to ensure its future prosperity amid a technological revolution that is reshaping labor and capital all over the world. The United States actually faces similar and related challenges. As a highly advanced economy, we need to rematch the U.S. workforce to the demands of recent technologies and make sure that our education system and our national infrastructure meet the critical needs. In that context, it is clearly in our shared interest to work together to help keep Hong Kong competitive as a regional hub for business, trade, and finance. Now, one way that we can do this is by working together to create an environment conducive to innovation. An example of this is the Consulate's Smart Technologies Initiative, through which we aim to help forge trans-Pacific business partnerships, offering advanced U.S. technologies to Hong Kong as Hong Kong implements its Smart Cities program. The AmCham Hong Kong, our partner in this initiative, will play a key role in making this happen. I also think that our more general efforts to advocate on behalf of U.S. business also help build Hong Kong's competitiveness. Advocacy support from the consulate and from AmCham can help with a range from simple phone calls to letters to face-to-face meetings. And we hope that everyone in the AmCham will let the consulate know how best we can serve you in this area. But it's our strong belief that this kind of advocacy of U.S. technology and U.S. exports will help in developing win-win competitiveness for both the United States and Hong Kong. So another second key 21st century challenge is the whole question of inclusive growth. Again, this is something that faces both the United States and Hong Kong. And I think that there is real value in sharing ideas between our societies about strategies for addressing income disparity and creating economic opportunities for young people. These are certainly important challenges that we both share. I've already had the pleasure in my short time here of speaking with people from various walks of life, from meetings with business leaders to visiting elderly residents living alone in Central and Sheungwan. It was a glimpse into the good work in Hong Kong of both the government and non-governmental organizations who are assisting society's most vulnerable. And it was a reminder that Hong Kong, like the United States, is a place of diversity and contrasts, and that we have a responsibility to work together to ensure all members of our society's rights are respected and their voices are heard, regardless of economic status, gender, ethnicity, or sexual orientation. In a time of global economic uncertainty and increasing income disparity in many countries, including my own, a top challenge for all societies is to provide economic opportunities for young people so that they can feel confident in their futures. And this is one of the reasons why our consulate will continue to put enormous effort into promoting educational exchanges to the United States. So there's also work to be done on both sides in other areas, such as in combating trafficking in persons and working to improve the protection of intellectual property rights. And I look forward to working together with the SAR government and the Legislative Council in addressing those issues. But let me mention one last challenge, which is largely a question for the United States, but also impacts the entire region. And that is the effort to continue to maintain the tempo and content of U.S. engagement in the Asia-Pacific, in the broadest sense of the word. The United States, Hong Kong, and our neighbors in the region all benefit mightily from American economic and diplomatic engagement in this region. So I also appeal to the members of the American Chamber in Hong Kong to help explain to our citizens back home in the United States how important Asia is to your interests as well as to the interests of our nation. One pending piece of business on the top of my mind in this regard is the Trans-Pacific Partnership. Now, although Hong Kong is not a member of TPP, it, like the United States and other TPP member economies, stands to benefit greatly from improvements to the rules of the road in the Western Pacific for trade and investment, as well as improvements in behind-the-border economic regulation, which are written into the TPP agreement. These measures include improved labor practices, environmental regulations, and improved intellectual property rights protection, as well as a wide range of other rules that require and encourage transparency and accountability. So finally, I just want to say that I look forward to working on these issues with all of you together over the coming months and years. And I look forward to engaging in dialogue with people from all sectors of Hong Kong's government and society. I think we can all sense that we actually now live in very consequential times in a number of senses. In times like these, and indeed when faced with any issue on which there are differences of opinion, I strongly personally believe that solutions are best found when we give the other party the benefit of the doubt regarding their intentions. Cooperation, communication, and listening to one another are the keys to success. When we do that, we often find that we are working together towards the same goal. Ladies and gentlemen, I believe that we are all working towards a shared goal of building upon the current success of the U.S.-Hong Kong relationship and the success of the great city of Hong Kong. And I look forward to working with you to help construct an even brighter future going forward. So I thank you for your attention and look forward to some questions, I hope, if we have time. Thank you very much.
For the assembled guests. Yes.
Thanks very much, and welcome to Hong Kong, Consul General.
Thank you.
Tara Joseph with Thomson Reuters. I'm asking this question as an American citizen and long-term resident of Hong Kong. You mentioned some of the things that are in favor of Hong Kong, but I'm wondering if you could point out in your conversations recently where you see the biggest risks. Is it for the business community here? Is it in politics? Is it something as simple as Americans opening up bank accounts?
I think people should be able to open bank accounts, don't you? So I'm looking forward to actually hearing better reviews of that process as people go to banks, because I think that it should be possible to open a bank account, even under 21st century rules combating money laundering. But to your deeper question, I think that really maintaining economic competitiveness and answering this question of inclusive growth, the things that I mentioned in the speech are challenges that Hong Kong faces. Every country and every economy face these challenges. China faces them, the United States faces them. But I think that Hong Kong may face them more than others, precisely because it is a internationalized economy. So maintaining a competitive edge while answering the needs of its population may actually be even more challenging and require even more creativity when you have an open economy than when you have a closed economy. The answer, of course, is to maintain an open economy and answer those challenges through creative approaches, through thoughtful ways of creating continued competitiveness and answering the needs of society at the same time. But I'm not sure it'll be easy. And so I really do honestly, very deeply believe that the United States is a great partner to Hong Kong and can be an even better partner going forward in coming up with some of those solutions. And the corollary to that, of course, is that finding of solutions will work better if the fundamental framework, the specialness of Hong Kong, the construct that I described is maintained going forward.
Next question.
David Zweig from HKUST. Welcome.
Thank you.
You said that I think that the people of and governments of Hong Kong, U.S. and China all support the promotion of one country, two systems.
Mm-hmm.
And yet,
Thanks.
you've got 17% of the people of Hong Kong in a survey recently who support independence. You've got, at the younger age brackets, you've got 40% of people who are quite dissatisfied with one country, two systems. How do you, as the Consul General, understand the rise of that kind of problem?
My own interpretation of recent political dialogue in Hong Kong, and it has been, again, I'm new here, 1 month, right? But my impression is that the political dialogue is all pointed in the same direction. And the people are using a variety of expressions to explain the same desire, which is to be a special place, a place with a high degree of autonomy, a place that is, in the context of China, a very successful and special and unique construct. And my sense is that really everyone's pulling in that direction. And there are just different ways of expressing that. And there are some frustrated voices and there are some less frustrated voices. And I hope that those voices talk to each other, as I said, have dialogue and figure out a path forward to preserve all of the fantastic success that is Hong Kong.
More questions? Peter?
Peter Liu. I'm the chair of the HR committee and a headhunter by profession. I have
I have a secure job.
Okay. You never know when you
Just
need
clarifying.
it. Thank you. I appreciate a sense of humor. I have a very easy question for you.
Okay.
Now, I may not sound American because of my accent, but I assure you I pay U.S. tax just like you. Okay?
Probably more than I do.
Yeah. I hope so. You don't look Chinese, but you have a Chinese surname. Why is that?
You know, we're gonna, with apologies to Dara, we're gonna give you all an opportunity to vote on why that is next week on our Facebook account. So, if this is obviously trying to drum up Facebook readership, you all will have a chance to express your own opinion on that very sensitive and important topic sometime next week.
Time for one more question? Yes.
Welcome to Hong Kong. I'm Sue May Thompson from the Women's Foundation. Sorry to put you on the spot here, but how would the very different possible outcomes of the US election affect the approaches that you've just described?
Sure. Thanks, Sue May. That's a question that, believe it or not, I've actually gotten before. You know, I honestly believe that the U.S. approach to Hong Kong, the U.S. approach to China, to the Asia-Pacific region, and many foreign policy issues in general are based really around a very fundamental, rational analysis and interpretation of U.S. national interest. U.S. national interest being something that is constructed together with other nations, not in opposition to them. And so I actually don't foresee large disruptions, regardless of the outcome, in the election coming in, 6 weeks now. Because I think that the incoming president will look at the United States, what we need, what we want, realize that the Asia Pacific is an incredibly important region to the U.S., and figure out ways, there are issues, right? And the next president, like President Obama, will continue to address those issues. But look for ways to, in the best way, most sensible way, continue to promote U.S. interests overseas. So I actually kind of expect to be getting similar instructions next year as this year.
We all please join me in both thanking our new Consul General for his presentation and Q&A, but also welcome him again to Hong Kong and every success.
Great. Thank you very much.
And in line with the speech, this is a fine American wine.